Hello everyone, welcome another Wednesday to Toastmasters. I don't know if we have any guests today. Have any guests? Okay, so welcome and I hope you enjoyed. We will ask you for your feedback at the end of the session. Make sure please you turn off your cell phones and we will be recording the session, so if you don't want to appear, that's okay, just tell us. And last week, as a joke, at the beginning, I said that we don't shake our hands anymore in Toastmasters, and it was a joke and everybody laughed, but today we're going to do it. We're not going to shake our hands, so what at the beginning was a joke, now it's not a joke. So just keep that in mind. And I have the pleasure to introduce you Mark, who is the president of the club.
Thank you very much, Alberto. Yeah, we are living in times of uncertainty and fear. When this happens, we tend to get smaller and get contracted. But it's precisely at this time where leaders are needed to get bigger and stronger and to hold the situation. So I'm not here to say don't panic because there's nothing to be afraid of. I'm here to say don't panic yet, but we need to be responsible. We need to follow the advice of the authorities, health authorities. At the same time, panic is not useful at all, it's useless. So what I think is very important is to have a very strong immune system, like Claudia said, have a very strong immune system. Yeah, a strong immune system is like a shield, and if we build a very strong one, no viruses, no bacteria will beat us. What should we do to do that? Well, just manage our emotions a little bit better, be calm, have time. Now it's more important than ever to have time to walk in nature, to be silent, to spend time with our loved ones, to eat properly, and just be calm. And in the future, we will laugh about this, but what I'm here to say as well is it's my responsibility to ask you to follow the health authorities' advice. That means to keep the distance and all of the things that we do. Thank you very much. I hope we will have in the future a better situation. And now, let me introduce you a very, very experienced Toastmasters tonight, which is Sheila Macmillan.
Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. How many of you have sung happy birthday today? Yeah? Is it your birthday?
No.
No? You did it, why?
Because my friend, it was his birthday.
Okay.
Okay.
For the rest of you who don't have a birthday, did you sing happy birthday?
Yes, I sang it.
You sang it?
Because I heard that you have to wash your hands as long as you sing.
Well done.
And I
You're
know that
supposed
my
to.
son.
Never mind the sanitized hygiene gel, hand gel. You're supposed to wash your hands in soap and water and sing 2 verses of happy birthday. Who knows if it works, but I don't have it yet. So. Okay, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sheila Macmillan. I've been a member of Toastmasters for quite a while, and my role tonight is a Toastmaster, so that means that I lead the meeting. I don't run the meeting because I have lots of help, but I lead it. And I introduce people, I introduce the people who are playing the roles, I explain the roles, and I introduce the speakers. Now, one thing that worries me just a little bit, we do not seem to have a general evaluator. I just WhatsApp Marie to see if she's coming or not. So can somebody start paying a little bit of attention just in case I suddenly, hey, who's going to be the general evaluator? Hopefully she'll turn up, but I don't know why or what. Okay, so what is the role apart from introducing everything? I'm supposed to lead the meeting with fun and happiness and all that kind of crap. We don't actually have a lot to be very happy about at the moment, do we? But what did we celebrate on Monday? No, what did we celebrate on Monday? Sorry, that's the teacher coming at me. Did we celebrate on Monday?
International Women's Day?
International Women's Day. So we've got two things to think about this week: International Women's Day and coronavirus, which hopefully will be extinct soon. What nobody can seem to understand, why this virus? Why has it got the world in such a panic? We had SARS, we had HIV, we had some kind of bird flu, and life continued on. Nobody panicked, nobody bought 1 million loo rolls from the shops. It's just crazy. It's got to be some money person behind it. Somebody's making money, even though the FTSE has dropped by over 7%. That's not a good sign. Anyway, on a more positive note, there was lots and lots of things happening all over the world to celebrate Women's International Day, and I hope we all celebrated it too. So my role this evening is also to lead a team, and the first person on that team is Marta Vanquet. She is our timekeeper, and she is going to explain her role. Or maybe she's not going to explain her role.
Yeah. Okay, so welcome all guests and members. And my role today is to help speakers to manage their time while they are delivering their speech. So what I'm going to do is use a timer, and I'm also going to use this traffic light sign to show when it's green, which means they are within the allocated time. Yellow is also within the allocated time, but getting towards red, which is not so good. And then red, which is going to be close to the end of the allocated time. So as well as the speakers, I have to control the time of the president, the Toastmasters of the day, and I think the participants of the table topics. And at the end of the session, I will deliver a report on how well we've been doing with the time. But what is important to keep up with the time? Well, I think it's because of two main reasons. One is because if you are in the contest, you want to be within the time so you don't get disqualified. That's one good reason. But the second, I think, best reason is because if we have an allocated time, you are kind of forced to be precise, to be clear, and you will be more likely to deliver your message to the audience, the message you want to deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta. And just one little thing, the timing is, as Marta said, 5, 6 and 7, or 4, 5 and 6 depending. But you have a 30-second space. So as long as you're not less than 30 seconds under the minimum time, or more than the 30 seconds over the maximum time, you will be all right. Otherwise you will be disqualified, which can be devastating if you're in a contest. It really can, as we know. And the next person that's going to help me tonight was a bit sprung on him. What are you doing tonight? Right, you're going to be this. You have to be quick. When the Toastmaster asks you a question like that, say you've got a role. Otherwise, you get landed with being the word master of the evening. Victor, will you please come and explain your word master, your word of the evening?
How many times you go out, you speak, but you're kind of looking for that word. That very same word is right at the tip of your tongue, but you can't seem to find. My case, millions of times. This section of the meeting is prematurely just is here to try and find those words that are so specific for those situations that are also specific. We can use I do, I make, these kind of verbs that pretty much work for everything, but if we cannot be specific, we're trying to find those words that convey the meaning we're trying to explain. And this is what is this today. We're trying to, not learning, sometimes do, but also remembering words that are so good, like expressing a specific idea. The word today is surreal. Sheila was so nice to give it to me because I didn't have a word in no role. So it's kind of surreal entering a Toastmaster meeting without a role, right? So surreal is an adjective, and it means it's kind of a feeling of marked and intense by the rational reality. So a way of saying it is when you can't believe something that's really happened. Like a surreal feeling of finding a winning lottery ticket on the floor. Right? So I encourage you all to use this word. I'll be counting it down through the meeting, as well as you not only learning and using the new word, but encouraged to use it impromptu in your speech during the day. So I give you all very much luck, and I'll give you my report at the end of the meeting.
Honestly, if some aliens were going to land and see what are they doing? I think it's better than something I saw on television the other day where a couple of guys were playing, looked like footy without football. I think Elvis is much easier. Okay, now the next person who's going to keep an eye on how we speak and report back to us at the end of the meeting is our formerly Sergeant at Arms, Alberto Romero. Could you please explain what the counter does?
Hi everyone. Well, tonight I'm gonna be counting all those little words, actions that we say and do, but do not add any real value to the speech, like touching some part of our body. So I will be counting them, so be aware, because at the end of the meeting I will give you my report.
Thank you. One little thing that you might have noticed is, apart from the fact that we no longer shake hands but dodge elbows, is sometimes we give people a round of applause and sometimes we don't. Why is that? Well, the touching of the elbows, which takes place in shaking hands, is, for some people, it's quite nerve-wracking to come up here to take over this lecture. So clapping them up encourages them, and clapping them down says thank you very much for making that effort. And shaking hands was the same kind of thing. It says, you're here now, you're in charge of this, and then we shake hands when we hand over, saying, okay, now you're back in charge of this. That's some little Toastmaster idiosyncrasies. Surreal Toastmaster idiosyncrasies. Okay, it looks like Marie is not going to come today for some reason. Could we have another volunteer, please, to be General Evaluator?
Joanne? Yeah, I do it.
Okay, Joanne. Thank you, Joanne. That's something else that Toastmasters are able to do. We can wear many hats. You come here and you don't have a role, you think, I'm going to have a nice, relaxed, you do this, you do that. And a good Toastmaster never says no. So thank you, Joanne, for that. And somebody else, excuse me, who would rather
Should I explain?
Sorry?
Should I explain the role?
Some
When you're ready. There used to be a little note on the door that I think we need to start putting up again. And what it says is, if you're arriving later to the meeting, which happens to us all, I've been late myself, because you stand outside and you wait until you hear people clapping. When you hear people clapping, that's when you knock on the door and somebody will let you in. Okay? So you wait until you hear clapping, you don't walk in the middle of somebody speaking. Fortunately, it's only me, so it's not that important. But if it was somebody giving a speech, it can be very off-putting. Just another little courtesy of Toastmasters. And somebody else who came here thinking that she was going to have a nice fine evening. What are you doing? Again, she wasn't quick enough. Please give a warm welcome to Ulrike Sternberg, who's going to be our table topics, master and table topics evaluator, and she will explain her role.
Hello, Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Now we have more guests, that's great. Thanks for coming. Welcome here.
It's of course hard to speak in public, because of this we are here. It's harder also when you know you have to speak, so you prepare speech. For me, it's even more or harder that you can have to come up here without preparing. So this have often can happen in our lives, and this is a table topic idea. The table topic means that we catch something or we give an idea, and you can't prepare what you maybe will be asked or what you maybe catch out of the back, in this case what I'm doing today, and you have to speak out of the cup. I think this is the right word. That means this is what I'm doing today. As I was on the way here, I was not sure if I reached, so I don't put me down for a role. And then I get a message, we need somebody there, we need somebody, so okay, I will do it. And I prepared very, very little 3 things. That means I need now 3 volunteers. Before I ask for volunteers, only that you know. You speak about 1 till 2 minutes, 30 seconds less, 30 seconds over would be disqualified when we're in a competition. And very important is this point. When you catch something out of here now, and you say, I have no idea what it is, or you say, I have no idea, I'm totally blank, doesn't matter. It's only to give you help. You can speak about anything. This happened to me to give you an idea. It was very surreal. When I catch something out of a bag, and I looked at it and said, it's something from sailing. I'm not a sailor, I never saw this thing. It's black. So I talk about the word black. So only to give you a little bit an idea, you don't have to talk about this what you find here. I think you can, but it's not so hard, but you don't have to. So now I need 3 volunteers. First I will ask people or our members that don't have a job to come up here, and nobody signed up, of course everybody else, and also the guests can participate, maybe directly to step in, to come up to the stage. So, first thing what is come will be here. Who would like to come up to speak about it? Dun, dun, dun. 3, 2, 1. Because I must say she has also to speak, she has a prepared speech, so even better. Distracts me, you know. It's a warm-up. So take something out of this and then on this piece. Good luck. Great, this is a bag of basmati rice. Because it reminds me of my many trips I have done to India, where I have tasted the most delicious curries, vegan, I'm vegan by the way, so vegan and super healthy, very quickly, nicely cooked. And Mara mentioned before that we should keep an eye on our health, on what we take in. So I want to encourage you to at least do 1 vegan day per week to try to eat more plant-based, because it's very delicious, very good for your body. And I want to become at least 100. I want to run a marathon when I'm 99 or 100 years old, and I'm working on it also with my nutrition, and I invite you all to do the same. Possibilities more. Who's the next coming up to take something out of this here? Guests can also participate. It's a good chance. Super. Wonderful. Last one. Who would like to come up here? Hello, what are you doing today? Oh. Somebody else? Claudia is also a robot. You would be so happy to speak in English, I know. Because super, big applause for Claudia!
really sorry. I really don't like to speak in English. This is the reason because I put these glasses on my face. Because it's very easy now to see you because you don't see my eyes. So it's easier. As Ulrike said, it's very difficult to speak in public when you don't have anything prepared. But this is the moment to take the challenge. Because you always speak since you was a little person. So I want to encourage you to do this here in this fantastic club because we are the best. Thank you very much.
Okay. Joanne, do you want to swap roles with Marie or what?
I think it's better that I continue because we have
Okay,
already
that's-
seen most of the presentations.
That's fine, that's fine. Okay. So now we come to what some people say is the best part of the evening. This is the speeches. Tonight we have 4 speeches, one by a very experienced speaker, one by a returning member. So she's not a beginner, but she might be a little bit rusty, and 2 icebreakers, which is absolutely great to welcome new members and to welcome them up here. The first person I'd like to introduce you to is Babette Wallen, and she is being evaluated by Paloma. Would you please explain to the audience or the members what Babette is going to do?
Sure. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters. Tonight I'm going to evaluate Babette Wallen. The first time I met Babette was around 3 or 4 years ago. It was here in this club. And I was a beginner. It was my first time here, and she was already a very experienced speaker here in the club. But for working reasons, she has to leave the island, and now she has come back. And she has come back to the island and to the club. That's why tonight she's going to do her 9th speech from the formal Competent Communicator book. Hence, you will find a very experienced speaker tonight. Let's listen to what she prepared. And please, because you also have to evaluate her with those leaderships you have with you, please just have a look to the objectives, which are she has to prepare a persuasive speech, appeal to the audience interests, use logic and emotional support, and avoid using notes. She will use from 5 to 7 minutes to do it. Babette, let's listen to you.
Thank you, Paloma. Babette Wallen, the power of your mind. The power of your mind, Babette Wallen.
Masters and guests, I would like you to close your eyes for a second and just imagine you're holding in your hand a lemon, and take that lemon to your nose and smell it. That lemon is that zesty smell of the lemon. And now take that lemon and take a big bite of it and chew that piece of lemon. Feel that sour juice is just running through your mouth, that zesty juice of the lemon. Now you can open your eyes. So what happened? Did your mouth create saliva? Did your mouth water? Yes, I would say. That is the power of your subconscious mind. It's creating saliva without you having to do anything. In fact, many of us don't have an idea what a marvelous piece of equipment we carry on our neck, our brain. So that is our conscious mind, our thinking mind, and our subconscious mind. And really our subconscious mind is a supercomputer. Just marvel at that. It can process, store, and hold 80,000 pieces of information per second. That makes it 10,000 times faster than our conscious mind, and also much more energy efficient than, for example, any IT equipment on the planet right now. So it's basically, it is amazing what we carry around. But then why is it that we mainly use our conscious mind, even though the subconscious mind is so much better? I think the answer is simple. Nobody told us, not at school, not at home, not at uni. Nobody ever explained to us what a marvelous kit we have. And not only did nobody explain it, it also didn't come with a user manual. So it's harder for us, it adds some difficulties. So that's why today I want to shed some light on that. And I want to give you 2 rules on how the mind operates, and 2 easy tips on how to use it better, how to communicate with your mind, and to use it to your advantage. So let's start with the first rule, how it's working. We talked about that it can process and hold 80,000 pieces of information. That is a lot. Of course, our conscious mind would struggle. We couldn't do it. But we have a marvelous little thing in our brain called the RAS, the reticular activating system. What does it do? It is really constantly busy with collecting data information that is relevant to the achievement of your primary goal. So it goes into your subconscious mind, searches for data which is relevant for you and makes it visible, brings it to the conscious. Amazing, isn't it? The only thing is we have to tell it our goal. If we don't, it doesn't know what to look for, obviously. It's a little bit like YouTube, you know? YouTube has all these wonderful videos online, and if we type in the right search term, we get a relevant video. But what happens if we don't enter anything relevant? So we enter nothing, what happens? We get suggested to watch funny cat movies, don't we? So we're not getting anywhere, really. Same with the RAS. If we communicate a clear goal, tell it what we want, we're passionate about it, it will go to work and return the relevant information to us. The problem is if we don't do that, we don't get anywhere. Many of us have already experienced the RAS in action. For example, you want to buy a new car. What do you do before you buy the car? You kind of shortlist a brand, you shortlist a model, maybe a color, and then all of a sudden you see that car on the road and you think, that's so real, what a coincidence. I keep seeing that car all the time now since I want to buy it. Believe me, it's not so real and it's not a coincidence, it's your RAS. You communicated your goal, so it shows you relevant information. So just to show you that car and have a good look at it, is it the right one? I'm sure everyone has experienced that one way or the other. In fact, I think almost everyone uses it unconsciously to remember a name. So you say, you come back to me, if I don't think about it, I just have to relax, and of course it comes back. After 2 minutes, you'll remember the name. That's your RAS in action, it works actually. So, how then do we communicate with the RAS? What do we have to do? How do we speak to our mind? In fact, it is very easy. Just come up with a goal, be passionate about it, think about it often, and relax. And then the RAS will do its part. So, use the RAS often. Use it for important things, not just to remember a name, but to find a key, or find a solution for a problem, for example. So use it often for important things and tell your kids about it. So that brings us to tip number 2. Everything is down to the words you say and the pictures you come up in your mind. Remember the lemon experiment? You made saliva to words and to pictures. there was never a lemon, though there was a lot of saliva. So I would think we should use our mind for other important things apart from saliva production. Don't you agree? What about to solve a problem? What about to come up with a creative idea? What about to feel enthusiastic about something? The only thing we have to do is use positive words and pictures which are in line with what we want. But what do we do usually? We worry. And in our mind we always talk about the things we don't want. For example, I'm getting old, I'm getting forgetful, my bum is the size of a circus tent, I'm so stupid, I screw everything up. Isn't that what we tell ourselves sometimes? Day in, day out, our mind has to listen to that. So with the knowledge you have now, I really encourage you to stop this once and for all. Ditch the negative self-talk. Instead, use positive words and pictures that are in line with what you want. Praise yourself, do the things, and talk about the things in your mind you want. So that was tip number 2. Just a quick recap. Tip number 1, come up with a goal and use your RAS to your advantage by giving your mind clear instructions. You don't want to be the one ending up in the cat movies. And tip number 2, use positive words and pictures that are in line with what you want. And if you do that, I'm sure you will be amazed about the results you get. Thank you.
We have 2 minutes now, and for guests, you will see on your board, if you've got a clipboard, there is a little sheet of paper. Please fill it in. Don't forget to sign it, don't forget to date it, and don't forget to give it to the person at the end of the meeting. That would be much appreciated. Thank you. And then you do. Say 1 minute, and then
1 minute. And 2 minutes.
Okay. Our next speaker is one of our 2 speakers tonight doing our icebreaker. Can be a very nerve-wracking event doing your very first speech up here. I can remember it well. It does get better. You never completely lose the butterflies in your tummy, but it does definitely get better. So please will, hang on a second, sorry. Alejandra, would you please introduce Yulika and her speech, please? Julika is giving her first speech tonight, the icebreaker. So the goals she had today is to break the ice. That means just stand up there and talk, which she already did on the table topics. But the idea is that she makes a complete speech and for us to get her to know her a little bit better. So the speech usually is about herself, her life, and the objective is only to enjoy your stage, and I'm sure that we all will enjoy your speech as well. So
Julika, our holding host, thank you. My life's journey from confusion to my life's purpose. Please give her a warm welcome. Oh.
Why do most people don't get in their lives what they want? Because they don't have a goal, they don't have a destination. If you don't know where you're aiming, you can't reach it. It took me over 40 years to come to this point. You must give your life a destination. I was born, went to school and studied law in Germany. I started my career as a corporate lawyer in Paris, where I built up the branch of a German law firm. After 5 years, I moved to Luxembourg, where I worked for 7 years in a well-known corporate law firm. Then I moved to Izmir, Turkey, where I continued to work in a law firm and worked for different women's rights organizations. I speak 6 languages. I have worked and lived in 7 different countries, and I'm a well-known corporate lawyer. This is a lot to be proud of, right? Deep inside of me, I don't feel proud at all. I would always think, hopefully nobody notices I'm not a good lawyer. Let's look at my life from a slightly different perspective. The circumstances made that I grew up never being encouraged to dream or desiring anything specific. I always thought I was not smart. I never believed in my abilities. Out of lack of a vision of my future, I followed the advice of a career counselor to study law. I also had the vague wish to become a diplomat, and I knew that the career path of a diplomat would be open to me if I studied law. Only later I realized that I had been sabotaging myself all during this process. Because I didn't think I was smart enough, I never became a diplomat. As I didn't have any other plan, I became a lawyer. Then I met a French guy who lived in Paris. What a wonderful idea, and what a wonderful plan to move abroad. When it was time to change jobs after 5 years, I applied to all job awards I could find worldwide. The fastest rated company was a law firm in Luxembourg, and I got the job. I love to dive into its international atmosphere. I worked hard, was very successful, earned a lot of money. After about 4 years, a nagging voice inside of me started to get louder. This is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I tried to ignore and suppress this voice by traveling extensively, working even harder, taking up new sports like marathon running, and by working in different NGOs. Then I met a guy from Turkey. Shortly after we became a couple, we decided to move to Izmir, Turkey. It seemed like the perfect escape. I learned a new language, I learned about the good things of the new culture, but I also experienced its dark sides.
After 2 years, I escaped from this relationship. I met my current loving partner in Izmir, who had been working there on a project. When we decided to found a family, we took all based on a priority list, we took all countries of the world and finally chose to move to Mallorca. So our son was born here in 2016. At that stage of my life, I realized that I had been drifting through my life. I was led by opportunities, coincidences, but never by a goal I wanted to reach. I also understood that I didn't want to go just for any job, only to feel after some time again the urge to move to another random professional adventure. I then started a very empowering journey in discovery of my life's purpose. I learned that I am the master creator of my life. I learned about the power of my mind. I learned about the power of goal setting. And I learned that I have been sabotaging my life, that I have been sabotaging myself all along my life. Life has no limits except the ones we make. I want to close with a quote of a US-American motivational speaker and author, Les Brown. The graveyard is the richest place on earth because it is here that you find all the hopes and dreams that were never fulfilled, all the books that were never written, all the songs that were never sung, all the inventions that were never shared, all the cures that were never discovered, all because someone was too afraid to take that first step, to keep with the problem or determined to carry out their dream. Don't let life just happen. Give your life a purpose and follow your dreams.
Thank you very much. And I must apologize because as a Toastmaster of the evening, I should have learned how to pronounce your name properly. So please forgive, no, that was very rude of me not to do that. Now we have 2 minutes to fill in the little slips, please. Victor, Claudia, fill in the little slips.
Surreal.
One minute. And 2 minutes.
Our next speaker is Eva Christina Danielson, and she has as her evaluator Mar Felix Strandberg, who is going to explain her role.
again. Hello, Toastmasters and distinguished guests. Today, Eva is going to make the first step of her journey, which is the icebreaker. And it is surreal how this journey changes during the time. Because the first time, I don't know how your experience will be, but I'm sure that in the future will be much better. Because here we always improve. So your goal today is just to let us know you a little bit better, and just enjoy the speech. And my goal today is to let you know what you already have today and what you can improve. That's all. Enjoy the speech.
Thank you, Mark. Eva Christina Danielson, from a place of self-doubt and stress to living at peace with a life vision. Please welcome Eva Christina.
Spring was starting to show up in my home country, Sweden. The sun was shining more and longer than 3 p.m. as is normal in the winter time back home. It's very dark and it's very cloudy. So people outside had happy smiles on their faces outside. However, I didn't have a happy smile on my face. And for me, it was just another regular day at work. And my thoughts were all over the place. And suddenly, my body said, no more, no more. But it turned out to be the best thing that could ever happen to us. I was born on the countryside in the south of Sweden by a car-loving dad and a flower and garden mom. And a little sister who absolutely loved helping out in the kitchen. I did not. And my father had a bus company, so we traveled a lot through Europe when I was born. Starting my 20s, I had a very heavy backpack of self-doubt, low self-esteem, and I had no sense of which career path to choose. Instead, I followed my inner voice, who was up for adventure and travel. And that brought me all the way down to Australia and to England and Germany for several years, where I had the time of my life. In my late 20s, after studies, I joined the mobile company Sony Ericsson, which you've probably heard about, but this was like around 2006, 2009. So the mobile industry obviously looked very different. This was before the iPhone, and we were chasing Nokia in the marketplace. So very different. But this time, I had found my soulmate pilot, Magnus, and we had one son, and one was on the way. Sadly, during this time, this company, Sony Ericsson, had to move cities in Sweden, so I lost my job there, which was a very sad career moment for me. So now I found a new job, and I had to combine family life with this new job. In my home country, both parents normally work, and I loved working. I wanted to combine family and work. And we have a great childcare system in place. Nevertheless, this was a very stressful time in my life. My pilot husband, as you can imagine, a pilot being either home or away, but he did everything he actually could do. But I put a lot of stress on myself, and at the workplace I sometimes didn't feel like a good employee, and as a mom I didn't feel as a good mom. On and on it went, and I was a lot of stress. And I still had some self-doubt left, and it didn't help. So I dreamt about leaving the rat race completely, because this wasn't working. One particular morning, as I came to the office, and the receptionist called me to say, "You have a client waiting in the conference area." Okay, I made a mental note and continued on with what I was doing. And then suddenly, time had escaped, and I forgot about this client. Totally forgot. I was so stressed and busy. And I was shocked and just ran to that conference room and opened the door and was about to introduce myself when suddenly the words didn't come out. I couldn't talk. My voice was gone. I slurred. I sounded so stupid probably, and I just started crying and screaming. I just rushed out. And a colleague fetched me when I was running out and put me on a bed in a resting room, whatever you call it. When I was lying on this bed, I looked up at the roof and I saw all the things I needed to do. I need to make that phone call, I need to make that email, I need to go there, I need to go there, I need to go there. I needed to do everything. And I said to my colleague, I can't lie here, I have work to do. And she said, but hello, you had a panic attack, you need to lie still, you can't go anywhere. So, okay. I lay there. And after, I don't know, an hour or so, I don't know exactly, I went to my office and I fetched my things and I walked home. Just walked home. And I didn't come back for about 6 months or so. At home, I was super tired. I was so emotional. Everything made me cry, and it was just hard. I slept a lot. Very, very tired. But actually, simultaneously, we had been looking into moving abroad, me leaving the rat race. So my husband actually found a pilot opportunity in Hong Kong during this time. And I mean, looking at our options now, it felt right to do this. So we actually went. So we moved family. I have, but this time the kids were like 7, 9 or something. So we moved to Hong Kong, then and there. And Hong Kong was totally surreal. My God, what a city. And it's around 7 million people actually living in the same area as Mallorca and Ibiza combined. So it's crazy, lots of people. And in the beginning, it was lots of hurdles for me to organize a new home there for us. It was just crazy, and I felt like giving up so many times. Like, this is too much. Not enough is enough. I can't do this. And the kids kept crying. They wanted to go home. They couldn't speak English. It was a lot of things. But I never promised them we moved back, and we didn't until almost 3 years later. 3 empowering, amazing years later. Feeling thankful for our adventure, where I finally got rid of my whole backpack of self-doubt and actually realized I can make income without going to an office. I can actually make income online. And but Hong Kong was extremely expensive to live in, so a move back to Europe came closer for us, and we started looking at options. I really wanted to keep a nice climate if possible, like the sun and that, and not go back to the darkness. But yeah, so we looked at Mallorca because I heard they had a Swedish school there. So we put the kids in the queuing system for the Swedish school, and miraculously they got in straight away for next term. This was back in April last year we're talking about. So they came in like starting in August. That meant that we had to make a very important decision very quickly. A little too quickly actually, but we had to make it because the schools needed to know if we wanted to come. And my husband couldn't leave his pilot job that quickly, so okay, what do we do? Do I really want to go to Mallorca? I don't know. Maybe it's easier to just go back to Sweden. Friends, family, everything is familiar. No, I felt like something within me said, this is an opportunity, let's do this. It felt right, I followed my inner voice again, and so we moved here. And yeah, here we are. And actually, both Hong Kong and Sweden will always be there. We can always go visit, and they will always be in our hearts. So I encourage you all to love yourself, believe in yourself, and follow your inner voices that's telling you something, and go out and live your life to the fullest. Oh, I should. Oh.
Trouble is, if you give some people some time to to enjoy the audience reception of them, they get so taken away that they just go back to their seats and go, come back, come back. It's always nice to appreciate some of the feedback we get from the audience. Now, when we had a little change round of the agenda, I introduced Joanne as the general evaluator, and then something else happened, and I never gave him the opportunity to explain what the general evaluator does. Before you do your speech, would you like to tell us the role of the general evaluator, please? Oh, sorry, I do beg your pardon. Yeah, it's so carried away with the clapping. Sorry, Miss Martha.
Un minuto, sorry, 1 minute.
I do that all the time. Only I say it the other way around if I'm kind of Spanishy.
And 2 minutes.
Okay, and please don't forget to sign the date and hold up the little piece of paper. Now, sorry, Joanne. This has been twice I've interrupted you when you can. Would you like to explain your role as general evaluator?
Of course. The idea of Toastmasters is that we learn by doing, and we learn also by getting some feedback on what we are doing. So everybody here, as you have been seeing by now, all the speakers will have some evaluator that will give them the proper feedback. My mission as general evaluator is to give feedback to anyone else that is taking some participation during the meeting. Some from the sergeant at arms to all the team that is helping manage the evaluators, all the others except the ones that already have been evaluated. And that's what I do at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Joanne. And now to evaluate Joanne's speech, we have Victor Pina, who is going to explain to us the role of Joanne's speech.
We all know Joanne. We all know how experienced it is, how well he does things. And the ones who don't know, well, you're about to find out. Joanne has maybe social high points, so many high points. He's going to be developing them through experience. His speech today, his purpose of his speech, is to share some aspects about networking. It may be good, it may be bad. We're about to find out. So, Joanne, the stage is yours and enjoy yourself.
John Carbonell, diving with big fish. Diving with big fish, Joanne Carbonell.
Do you know what is the best place to dive in the world? According to a friend, this is the Socorro Island. It's an island in front of Mexico, in the Pacific. You need 24 hours to arrive there from the coast. And it's the best place to dive with giant manta rays with humpback whales during some seasons, and with sharks and sharks and sharks. In fact, the person that was explaining that said that just by diving 12 meters beyond the surface, they could find a rock where there were dozens and dozens of little sharks. It was like a kind of kindergarten. All of them were concentrated there. That was impressive. This was part of a conversation that I had last Thursday night at dinner with a group of friends that we are meeting from time to time. In fact, soon we discovered that in this table there were 6 people that, like me, love diving. So that was a great experience and something good to know from that probably we haven't discovered in previous conversations. So the question is, how did I arrive to this table? Well, the story goes back to 2 years ago, more than 2 years. In February 2018, I was invited to attend to a meeting of a new club that was being founded here in Mallorca. So I had a phone conversation with the founder of this club, and they invited, come and you will see how this works. This is the same trick that Toastmasters is doing with the people. And then I arrived there Thursday night, and when I arrived there, I was presented to the founder and get to know new people, and soon I discovered a small detail. So everyone was foreigner. No one was from Spain. I was the only Spaniard in this meeting. There were 14 people there, including myself, and all the others were German, Dutch, Italian, Belgium, France, England, so from everywhere. Okay, great. I was able to control my panic and was able to sit down and take a seat and enjoy the dinner with them. So the first thing that we did during the dinner was to introduce ourselves. This is a club about business owners, people that are living here and are doing that. So the first thing was people was presenting themselves during 2 or 3 minutes and explaining what they are doing about it. So slowly my jar was going down when people was explaining that they were doing business in Dubai or they were launching new companies in the north of Europe. I discovered that there was a lot of people that was living here, some for a few years, but someone had been living here for more than 20 years, and they were loving the island but doing a lot of business around the world. I was asking what I'm doing here. Okay, at the end of the night, I was invited by the founder, and he said, there are 2 rules here. The first one is that we don't do business at the table. So the idea here is that people do business with those that they trust. So the idea here is to build a trust relationship, a friendship relationship with other people. And if necessary, you can do business after that. The second rule is that when you come here invited the first time, you need to decide if you want to join or not the same night. And I say, it was a hard decision, it was not cheap to join this club, but I said, yeah, I want to be part of that. Just for a single reason. I want to listen to this kind of conversations. I want to listen to all these stories, what they were talking about, what people were doing from different places. So that was the reason why I joined this club. No other business idea, because probably I didn't see any relationship with what I was able to do at this moment. So they were in real estate, in yachts, in different kind of business. I didn't find any relationship. So after that, 2 years have passed and something has changed. For the club, this club that started here, and I was the 17th member of the club, now it has nearly 700 members. It has 23 clubs around the world, mostly in Europe, but also in Dubai, in New York, in Miami, in Sao Paulo, and a lot of cities in Spain, in Europe. It has 700 members, and what started as a friendship relationship, I was able to create something more about that. So I was getting some information about these people, and in the end I've been able to create some business partnership with them. So I've been able to work with the founder, with the website of the same club, with other ideas that they are doing, I'm involved in 2 startups that they are running from here and they are launching. I even have found the partner that is working with me with my project, the project that I had, so I've been able to do that. So I have some lessons from that I discovered here. The first one is that when you have an opportunity, you need to take the step and go there. If this is what you want to do, you don't let it pass. And this was probably forced in this situation, but it's something that I discovered here. The second one is that you need to have some pitch prepared. It doesn't have to be a business relationship, it can be a personal relationship. You want to be in a club of people that is doing adventure or going to the mountains or whatever. You need to find those groups and go there, but then you have to start conversation. So today we have here 2 icebreakers that allow us to connect with the people and to get some ideas, and probably after that we can start connecting with them and getting more information. So this is something that you have to be ready. And thank you for being the Toastmasters. I've been ready to create something very quickly. And the third one is that you probably should have business cards with you, just to exchange that. Probably now we are in the 21st century and we need some other ways to do that, but as I'm on the yellow, I do not have time to present that, but after that in the bar if you want, we can exchange virtual cards with LinkedIn if you are interested. So in the end, do not miss those opportunities. Think that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So you decide with people you spend the time, so you decide who you want to be.
Diving with sharks, diving with manta rays, how surreal is that? Had to get another one. Thank you.
One minute. And 2 minutes.
Toastmasters isn't just a small club in Mallorca for those guests that maybe don't know. It's a worldwide institution with clubs in every country and something like 162,000 members. So you don't have to be stuck here in Mallorca. If you're going visiting, if you're going to do business somewhere on the mainland or on a holiday anywhere, just find out where the club is and go and visit. That's what people do to us, and we love having visitors here, because although most meetings are run on a basic pattern, every club does things just a little bit differently. You come away thinking, oh, that's a good idea, we should try that. There's one club in the south of Spain, and they have a poetry moment. And I am so glad that I personally don't belong to that club, because the thought of listening to poetry and having to prepare it just scratches the life out of me. But as well as all this online information, we also get a monthly magazine. You can still get it in a paper issue to send to your home, or you can ask to have it online. I'm still a paper person, so I post it every month, and it's full of tips and interesting news about the world of Toastmasters. And of course, we all want to give a big round of applause and a big, strong welcome to our contestant, who is going to represent our club next Saturday in San Cugat. Please give her a warm welcome. Is anyone else going to, because they haven't cancelled it yet, or have they?
No,
Is it online?
cancelled, no way.
No. Well, no, they was talking about doing some of these things online instead of traveling, but we're still doing that. Okay. So now we come on to the reports of the evening. And the first one is going to be the report on Babette's speech. Paloma, would you like to come up and give your...
Babette, congratulations, and thank you very much for giving us this gift, which was your speech and sharing with us. When I was listening to you, I didn't realize that sometimes passed, really. It was like it was yesterday you were here. So thank you very much for sharing that with us. And the title of this, or the goal of this speech, was pursuing with power, and you did it. I think to persuade, you have to use 3 tools. First of all, to inspire us, then convince us on something, and call us to some action, and you did it. You did the 3 of them. So congratulations. I think the opening was very powerful, because you inspired us and let us think of lemon water in our mouth, and we could feel it, all of us. And that was the first thing. Then you used a very good structure of the speech, because you gave us some tips in order to give us this call to action. You didn't use the notes, which was another goal in this project. But because we always find that there is a need to improve, I think you could have used more passion when you were delivering the speech, because to persuade people, I think it's necessary to have more passion. You were using many times you were using the word so in connection with all the sentences. So try not to do that. And also that I found something to improve was that you were moving throughout the stage with a nervous move all the time. So I think that was keeping us away from the important things you were telling us at that moment. But apart from all that, I think it was a very powerful speech, and I'm looking forward to listening to you for the next one, which is the 10th of the project. Thank you.
Alejandro, would you like to come up now and give us your evaluation on Twitter, please?
I think I like better. Julika, congratulations. I think you have a, you know, everybody starts from a different level, and I think you started already with a good level, so that's always good. Of course, you will improve as everybody, but you started with a good background. I like the beginning. You started with a rhetoric question. And a question, even if it's a rhetoric one, always make us think about the answers, and that's the way to connect with the audience. I think it's a very good way to start the speech, connecting with your audience. I also like the way you use the stage when you were speaking like this, and tell part of your speech, and then you say, from another perspective, and you change your body, and you were looking at us from a different perspective. So I think that was a really good thing to do. I also like that you share the good things and the not so good things about your life. That's also a way to connect, because everybody has goods and bads. So I think that's a good thing to do, to connect also with your audience. Things to improve. I will work a little bit on the volume. You have a very soft voice, but sometimes, and also we have a lot of noise from there, so sometimes it was a little bit harder to listen to you. But about the voice, there's another thing that I really like that you did, is that you use your voice as a resource when you change your voice, like talking about your mind, like you say something like, this is not what I want to do. I think that was a really good tool that you used. Another thing that you can work on is sometimes work on the poses, because it's okay to do some poses with purpose, but sometimes I felt that the poses was because you were thinking what was going to go next, and sometimes you also, when you pose, you were looking down, like searching for the next words. So try to work on that. I really like the speech and also the message that you gave us. I think it was a really nice message. And the thing I like the most is that almost all of the time you were smiling. And I think that's a really good thing, and also connect with us. So congratulations.
Thank you. And now we have Mark, who is going to give us her evaluation on air.
My role today is to motivate you and to educate you. And I think I'm going to do a great job motivating you. I'm not sure if I'm going to educate you, because what an amazing icebreaker. I really didn't expect that. Congratulations. You started with a very strong opening, speaking about your country, the sun, and then you told us that your body said, no more. And then you continue speaking without saying anything else. So you created a mystery. So we wanted to know more, but you continue telling about all the things you decided to go here and there. We said, when is she going to tell you what happened with her body? That was great. You had a beautiful smile, very good eye contact during the speech. You told me to pay attention to your voice. And it was really good, because you were able to change it. When you say, Hong Kong was surreal, and I was like, oh, what's happening here? So you were able to change it. Very good. It's difficult to educate Eva, but I have one thing to give to you. It's like, the topic was so good, and it was about yourself, so probably you could be able to dramatize it a little bit more, so we can feel it more. Because I felt totally identified with you when you said you wanted to be more with your children, you wanted to work more, everything that happened to you has moved to me as well. But you could even do it better. This is not supposed to do it in an icebreaker, but as I have to say anything. And thank you very much for sharing that beautiful message about following our inner voice. Thank you.
Okay, and our last evaluator for this evening is Victor, who's going to give us his evaluation for Joan Barthelme.
Are you ready? Before coming here, I was like, I'm not gonna give any good points to Joan, I'm just gonna point out what improvements I'm seeing, but I picked up on some very good ones, and I'm about to rock your back a little bit, but don't get excited just yet, okay? So I love actually how you started the speech, how you finish it, how you implemented the structure inside. You got a 5-step structure from my point of view, what I assume it is. You started with a question, and the rhetoric question, it has to be something that no one has thought before, but experts about that field. So it's like, I thought about going to the beach. Like, of course, I'm in Mallorca, what are you thinking about? But you say, what's the best place to go diving? It's like, wait a second, what is it? So that's a very good point, making a rhetorical question about something no one thinks about. So that's good. And that gives us into the lead of the 3-way structure. So you got the question, you got your main experience about it, and you got the explanation why you got that experience, and then the benefits and the aspects about the experience, and then the closure. So you got these 5 points, very well structured. And also, I like how you implemented the humor inside the speech.
Yeah.
And also, you encourage that humor, that transmitting that energy that with your body language. Like you said, wait a sec. Yeah, control my panic. Or like, ha 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 ha. Then drop my jaw, like, ha ha ha. So those very moments where you encourage us with the meaning with your body, we got it right away, because we don't need to hear your voice. We hear it before you say it. That's the way that the body language works. But apart from those little moments, your body was a bit symmetric. Your hands were moving together, like this, like they were chained. And when they were not chained, one was moving that way, and then the other one was moving that way, and then the other one was moving that way. And then it was like kind of symmetric the whole time. So if we use our body to empower to message, it's important that the hands move with a purpose, instead of just going to one place or the other or just following each other. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you use the humor 2 times. Aristotle, the great philosopher, said 3, 3, 3. Good things coming free. I don't know why. Introduction, developing, and closure. And the jokes, if you do a running gag 3 times, it works better than if only do it 2, or if you do it 4. I don't know why, but we work like that. So I guess if you use a 3rd joke somewhere near the ending of the benefits, you'll get us back. Because a laugh is a way of connecting with the audience. So you make us laugh right at the beginning, made us laugh again after that, and by the ending, we're following you, you made us laugh there, we're like, good. 3, boom, 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 I'm connecting with this guy, I love it. You know what I mean? So that's very good. And one thing I noticed about your speech, you started with your question, the experience, blah, 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 blah. At one point, like, okay, that's good, but where is he going? And right at the end, when you said, because we're the average of the 5 people we hang out with, like, what? How come? It's because you are. No, what was you decide who you want to be. And when you say that statement, you go to this, it's like, of course! It's like, the good closures are the ones you don't see coming, but when they arrive, it's like, boom, mashed potato. Right? So thank you very much for that mind-busting ending with that speed. Keep it up and keep in mind those little things because you're going to improve so quickly.
Thank you for that entertaining evaluation, Victor. Okay, our last, oh no, not our last, coming close to the end, our table topic is evaluator. Please give a warm welcome to Ulrich Stern.
The first speaker was Julika, and I think you remember all that I said the table topics are so hard because we can't prepare. And she came in and said, I do like a warm-up. I said, okay, do it like a warm-up. So respect that you really do a warm-up before you do the speech. Amazing. The only thing what I think, because you have done it good, and you catch everything, you don't stop, I don't turn like ads and O's, or you do repeat something. This was very good. What you maybe can do, the total topics every time is something what you can figure out the points you are weak on. Because I know, for example, Julika likes to go on a little bit more with eye contact. Do this for you, like a goal, when you go to tabletop and say, okay, my goal is, okay, so I go to tabletop, but use it like to catch more the eye contact. The second one was Luca. It's amazing to come up here, very, very confident, and you have done exactly this what I said before. You use the bracelet only for the beginning and then you go into your story. It was very, very entertaining, was very nice. What I would like a little bit more is that you pause, speak a little slower. Because we all know, especially when we're doing table topics, that you say, okay, when I speak a little faster, maybe the 1 minute goes a little faster. The time is the same. So speak a little slower and pause, because that helps also with all the speeches you will do very soon. The last one was Claudia. I don't know why you don't like to come up to speak in English, you know, it's so great. So I give you the next time also my glasses because you do it in a very nice way. And you use it and I really feel that you feel confident. What I really like to, in your special case, what would be great is, you know that we have today a little bit problem with the voices in the back. The others, so it's starting with maybe the several topics, they don't notice as much, but you notice this. So speak when you are here a little louder, and a little stronger, because this is sometimes a goal what we have to integrate in our speeches and table topics too. So all in all, amazing. Thanks so much. This is where Lady Bump is coming from.
Actually, when I joined this club, we used to shake hands for everybody, whether they stood up there or came here, we used to shake hands. And then a while ago, years ago, it was decided this was a bit too much shaking hands, and it took up too much time. Well, I find that hard to get used to, and I still sometimes feel that people that are standing in the middle, like Paloma and Alexandra, when they're standing up to tell us what they're going to do about their evaluation, they're going, well, if it's this way. Yeah. Because wherever they're standing, they're going to have their back to somebody. So maybe if we something to think of, maybe if we don't want them coming up here, maybe they go back or we go to the side, I don't know. But the reason I started on this, I've always enjoyed the hand clapping, but I don't half feel like you're going, and as for him, please go make your own favors. Next person to give us the report on the counter is Alberto. Please, will you give us your report?
Yeah, so tonight we did pretty well in terms of time. I didn't count so many. Marta once count. Table topics really well, because in table topics it's normal to get stuck. And Julika once and the rest really good. Babette, well, as Mama said, you said so many times, like Casalin, and Babette and Julika, I realized that you both, in terms of nonverbal communication, you joined your hands too much, like maybe when you didn't know what to do with your body. Eva, I realized that you said "and" many times. Like when you want to link, you say "and." Maybe sometimes it's better just to don't say and continue. And Alejandra and that's it. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Alberto. Next report is from Victor again, from the Wordmaster. How many times did we use it?
We use it many times. 7. Well, not many, but many enough, many. Sheila said it once, Ulrike said it once, Claudia said it once, Alex said it once, Mark said it once, Eva said it once, and Luke said it once. What I want to say is, I was kind of holding this sign at the back sometimes, many times for experienced speakers to encourage them to use it, because the more we use the word, the more it's implemented in the meeting. That gives you a nicer flow of different things to say. And also I want to thank Luke,
Yes.
Eva, and wait. Yeah, well, Luke and Eva and his icebreaker, and Luke with a first ever attempt to speak on stage, to use the word of the day, because that's very like, thank you very much for that, and also the words that we used for else. That's my choice.
That would have been a good idea if I could have read what you'd written. He's holding it everything. Of course, the whole time I've left my glasses in the thing, I couldn't see it.
You got a point.
And I should have thought about it. I should have thought why you've seen that. Okay, thank you. Timekeeper, Martin, can you give us our report?
So we've done pretty well today. I have only to mention Julia at the table topics that you were a little too short, 45 seconds instead of the 1 minute. And then the next is Eva, that you went a little bit over your time, 8 minutes 15. I was not there. It's supposed to be 6. And what else? And the rest, just Mark a little bit shorter when you did your evaluation, 139, didn't get to 2. And Victor, a little bit too much, 349. But that's all. The rest were
What did the others mean? Sometimes they like to know what and
yep, we like to know. The speakers, so Babette is 7:13.
Wow.
Wow. Julika 5:57. You guys said 8:15. And Joan 7:22. Evaluators Paloma 250, Alejandra 250, same, and Mark 139. And Victor 349. And that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, and now I would like to welcome Joan Carmenel up to the lectern as the general evaluator.
Thank you very much. Surreal session today, not just for the elbow shaking that we have been practicing today, but something that usually don't happen here. For example, today we had at least 3 interruptions while the session has already started, and sometimes we have 1, but 3. It was something really a bit strange. Also, there was something about the agenda. So this is previous to the meeting, but probably the agenda was not filled up properly. So this created some stress before starting the session, to having to cover some of the roles here on the same place, and this is good to avoid. So probably we were today not as much focused as we are usually. I'm going to review all the people that has been participating, and I've been able to take some notes because I have a plan for that. Okay. Sheila, you did a great job. You introduced, I think, everything, the role, the club, the story of the club, that you can visit any one of those, the magazine, the sheets. You explained very well what to do with that. I'm not sure if the responsibility. There are two things with the agenda. One is filling the agenda, that probably is about the Toastmasters, so it's better to have it before. For example, the speakers should talk with the evaluators before the meeting to share the goals, and if they want something special, if this is done at the last moment, it's very difficult to that. The other one probably is not managed by you, but we noticed that today we had one speak from Babette and two easy, two icebreakers. So usually the speeches should be ordered from the, let's say, the juniors to the seniors. So we should start with the icebreakers and probably Babette, and then set that down, the last one. But so it's good to try to sort that before printing the agendas. You also corrected some things like putting the signal on the door, or for example, Marta didn't explain the plus minus 30 seconds, and you corrected that very well. Welcome, Marie. You explained it. I didn't know that the story about shaking the hands always, but it was great explanation. Marta, you did a timekeeper. You explained it very well, the role. You get all the details, a very good report about that. I think it's good to focus on the sections, as you did before, so just the people that were outside, it's important to know that. And also, just for reference, to have the rest of the numbers. While you speak, it's better if you put the 2 feet on the ground instead of having one. So, if you feel comfortable, that's great. Okay, this is probably not sorted because I started taking notice after that. Let's just start from the beginning. Alberto, Sergeant at Arms. Great, we have everything in place. Two things, one is the note on the door. I think we have it somewhere, so we should use. The other is that probably it's too noisy today, and I'm not sure if it's properly closed, this door from there, so we should pay attention to that because it's distracting when people is talking here and we hear the football match from the other side. Mar, as president, you did a great speech as always. It was some mix of emotions, trying to uplift that, but in some cases it was something that maybe in the future we will have a better situation. I would suggest to put the uplifting part to the end, so that we end up more motivated and not in the middle of the presentation. Victor, as Wordmaster, well, I know you had to improvise that. Good work. It was not just, well, 7 is not bad. It's a good usage for the word, so it was great. It was a bit hard to see from here, from people doing the pictures. I didn't notice if you were showing that. Did you show it?
Not to the speakers.
Okay. So I didn't notice that. Alberto, as Uncounted, good introduction. Detailed report about the people and focusing on the exact works that they were doing, so probably later they can see on the video and see what happens, because when you are doing that, you probably are not able to see that. Probably not much people included in the report. I'm not sure if it was real or not, so this is the information I got. Ulrike, with a stable topic master, explained everything, why we do that, which are the priorities, or how we choose people. I think everything was great. Also good feedback at the end, some ideas, probably decide faster when there is no one coming here, so you can use the digital system to say, okay, come here. And in general, I would suggest that first one, everyone that doesn't have a role, I remember that doesn't have a position. There are more than one member, And evaluators. Paloma, evaluating Babette. Good introduction, you explained everything, you even explained the sheets, because before, later, Sheila introduced that. There is some detail that this is happening usually that we talk about the experienced speaker that is going to come. So we create some expectation that can be bad for the people that is probably nervous or having to come here. So this is something that we usually use. And some things I would expect to have some more specific examples. So if she has been using the 3 tools that are required for the goals or more passion, you were talking, so put some examples, some moment where, for example, with more passion it will be creating more effect, or which are the tools, which was the call to action, or which was the inspirational message that was there. So if you include that, it will be more specific about the speaker. Alejandra about Julika. Good introduction. I noticed that at some moments you were having to think how to continue. I think probably the hand that Alberto detected. So probably the introduction is something that you can have prepared from the beginning, so it should be more faster and real. And then a great introduction, especially good examples of when she could improve the situation. Just try to avoid giving the back to the people when you were showing how to move, and you were at some moments giving the back to the audience. Yeah. Mad about Eva. Great introduction. You have done what you said. Here I'm going to motivate and educate, and I'm going to motivate and ensure if I'm going to educate, and this is what you did. Really, you gave her a lot of motivation, and probably not much thing to improve because everything was great for it was great. So, but the idea is you should always have something to improve or some idea to improve. So really, you did what you. I especially love how you dramatize the things, the moments when she surprises you. So this is great. And Victor about Joan. That's hard to avoid. I will kill you. No, great. It's funny how you explain the things. So it's great explanation. Probably you discovered much more structure that the speaker was really planning. So the structure was based on the chrono that we have here. And good examples of everything. So everything is included with some specific examples of what the speaker was doing at this moment. So great. Boom, march, the entertaining, the 3 jokes, that great. And I think that's it. Did I miss something? So, thank you.
Thank you for that quote, Joan. And this is the end of me. This is me saying goodbye for the evening. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. There's still a few more. Yeah. The thing is that we can't really complete too much because we get this room free, but it doesn't matter because we're at nearly at the end of our meeting, so it doesn't matter. So I'll say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed the evening, and I now have pleasure handing over to Mark, who's standing in for our Vice President of Education.
I'm here as Vice President of Education because she's sick. So, just a few things. We need a Toastmaster for the next week. Any volunteer? Okay. Toastmaster of the day?
No problem.
No, me. Not really crazy. I need only one, please. Claudia?
Claudia.
Claudia. Claudia. The 18th of March, so next week, Wednesday, no, the next one.
No, next one is the 18th.
That's actually the 18th. Oh, yeah. That's true. It's the Mundial Poetry Day.
Is that what?
Poetry Day? Poetry. Poetry Day. Did I say properly? Yeah? So please, everybody who is going to speak here, prepare something special for that day.
I go for short time.
You've got, sorry?
I go for short time.
Short time, okay. Okay, take the role, or do you want me to take it for you?
I do it.
Okay. Please, when you have to cancel a role, you can print it by WhatsApp, which is quicker than by email if you do it at the last time. Okay? I'm always encouraging people to do it by easy speak. But if it's at the last time and we need to react, put it as well in the WhatsApp group, because then we can look for another person to fill that role. And we'll see what happens in the contest and with the next session. We will be there. They are working hard to prepare everything to go virtually there for the people who have to travel. We will see. I have decided not to go there, to follow the advice of not traveling, but I am really encouraging you to be there representing us. Just think about it.
I will be contagious when I come back.
They are preparing the way to go there and be there virtually. We will see what happens in the next days. Okay. And well, that's all for today. Thank you very much. And I call here Alberto as the sergeant of the dance, please.
Thank you very much, everyone who participated in today's session. And I don't know if any one of our guests tonight want to say something, your opinion on the session, your impressions, or you want to share your thoughts. Feel free to say whatever you want.
Next time.
Okay, no problem.
I just like to say thank you. Sorry about the name of the video. It was very amazing experience to have you on. Those speeches were very great. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, say something. Yeah, thanks for letting us come tonight a little bit late. The speeches, the topic of the speeches were really, really interesting. I was quite surprised actually that they were so engaging. Well, I shouldn't be surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised. And some of the evaluations were thoroughly entertaining. It wasn't just, I wasn't expecting to be entertained like that. So, muchas gracias.
Thank you very much. Also, thank you everyone for coming, and we will keep you informed for what happens in the next meeting, because we still don't know what is going to happen, so we'll inform you. Thank you very much, and see you at the bar.